This paper is about diagrammatic summaries for neural architectures. And what I'd like to do is to talk you through some of our reasoning about why we think diagrams might be appropriate for communicating neural architectures, and a few concrete steps that we might be able to take together to make better diagrams and to make better use of diagrams. So the first thing to answer really is why diagrams? So diagrams, according to PS, are icons of relation. And we think that neural architectures are all about relations between layers or components. And therefore, there is a very strong theoretical match between representing AI systems or machine learning systems and diagrams. It also is the case that diagrams occur to describe architectures in many, many papers. So I'm going to show you some examples now from ACL 2020. So in this first example, it's a bit like a block diagram. Another example has more mathematical notation and some iconic objects. A further example has much more complexity. It includes an instantiated example and mathematical notation alongside graphs and so on. So even within each diagram, we can have a huge range of things, but between diagrams, we have many, many combinations. And we've drawn some of those together so that you can take a look at them in a slightly simpler way. But what we were then thinking is, well, given this huge range where authors are expressing their systems in these vast range of ways, what could we do to try to make things a bit better? And the lightest weight thing that we could do within the existing publication mechanisms would be to introduce some guidelines. So these guidelines might be very light to touch, and we've got an example from some previous work that we've done, and would encourage authors to take their existing diagram formats and the way that they're thinking about their systems and to adapt them slightly in order to be a little bit more clear to readers and a bit more effective, and to include the right kinds of information. This would be bringing diagrams in line with tables and algorithms in terms of how they are expected to be by reviewers. So we believe they're not getting enough attention at the moment. A second position is really about bringing diagrams much more central to the publication mechanism. So diagrams are theoretically useful. They're already being used lots. Let's make them the main thing about the paper. So where there's an architectural contribution, we'd like to see a very short paper that is mostly a diagram with some text and some results table in there as well, and encoding all of the important information, enough that a reviewer can make a decision about whether there's novelty here. And of course, this could be paired up with other great initiatives like allowing code to be freely available, but that's not the main thrust of our argument here. And we hope that this then would reduce the overheads on the authors as well, because they're having to produce less content, but also on the readers because there's less content to read through and they can consume it all very visually. So in that world, we'd still have quite a lot of heterogeneity because each author would be deciding their own visual encoding. A third position is much more ambitious and requires a community effort to create a standardized diagrammatic language that works not just for the different domains within neural architectures, but also for different communities, different diverse communities using machine learning and trying to consume this research. And this would really need to be supported by some specific tooling and also by people infrastructure, which allows the diagrammatic language to be updated as new architectures are introduced, which need to be incorporated. So this is quite heavyweight. We gave a little bit of a stab at it in an earlier paper where we looked at the primitives involved in some of the machine learning at the time and tried to draw a lightweight diagrammatic language on top of that. So if this kind of thing is of interest, please do get in touch. So hopefully you've seen that diagrams are useful for communicating complex systems. And so AI systems are complex, so better diagrams would help to make better machine learning communication, and that there are some practical ways this could be achieved. So please, if you're interested, do get in touch, either at the conference or by email or on our website. Thanks very much.